Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about AEW All Out 2021, which when it's all said and done, may very well be the pay-per-view of the year. What is going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot for Watch Along Wrestling. Hopefully everyone is doing well and staying safe. Holy moly, if you are a wrestling fan like myself, this has been one hell of a night for us, has it not? AEW All Out just wrapped up about 90 minutes ago. It's about 1 a.m. here as I recorded this here on the East Coast. And I mean, I'll tell you, I tried to go to bed. I was laying there and I was thinking about it and I realized I'm just too amped up. This is the type of night that as a wrestling fan you live for. You order a show, you hope it delivers, and then it delivers and knocks an absolute home run. What can be said about this show? I'm going to try to do my best to put it in perspective and put my little spin on it. But if you were on the fence about ordering this and are thinking, hey, maybe this is a show I could have gone without. Hey, it's $50. I don't want to drop 50 bones on there. WWE has kind of killed the pay-per-view market for wrestling in that I'm cool paying my $5 for WWE on Peacock and getting all the pay-per-views included. I get it. But if you were on the fence and thinking about ordering a replay, whether or not you should, yes, you absolutely should. Turn off this video, put it on pause, put it aside, and come back and watch it when you all wrap things up, because it is absolutely worth your time to check this show out. Biggest moments of the night here, if I'm just giving you the quick cliff notes, and I'll get into everything. Of course, the former Bryan, Danielson, and Adam Cole, baby, both debut at the end of the show to join, well, Adam Cole to join the Elite, and Daniel Bryan then immediately after to go against the Elite in two incredible moments, an incredible angle, which I'll get to how it all played out here as we break down the entire show. On top of that, Ruby Soho, the former Ruby Riott, debuted as the Joker in the Women's Casino Battle Royale, winning that match, and will go on to face Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, which I'll get to a little bit later on as well. And that wasn't all, because Minoru Suzuki also showed up at the end of Jon Moxley's match to confront Moxley, and will be facing Jon Moxley this Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. Holy smokes, so much for one show, and that's not even talking about any of the results of the matches. Starting with the buy-in, I thought this was a really fun match here. Good to get everyone kind of on the card here. This was your match to get everyone on the card, and you wanted to get all your fan favorites out there, your kind of niche favorites, if you will, your Orange Cassidys, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus. Get them all out there. Get the crowd who was amped up and ready to go at this point, incredibly hot. They weren't hot all night. I'm going to get to that too. But I thought that this was a perfect opener there. A lot of fun. Obviously, the best friends as well as the Jurassic Express get the win over the Hardy family office there. And the biggest news probably out of that match is that the return of the Butcher, who we haven't seen for a really long time, showed up and looked great here toward the end of the match. But again, great little moment there for Jurassic Express and the best friends to get the show off on the right foot. But I'm a huge Matt Hardy fan. I've always been a Matt Hardy fan, so I'm into the whole big money Matt deal. And I like that he kind of has this undercard faction, so to speak, of a bunch of folks there. A lot of factions at AEW, but for me, I'm always a big fan of Matt Hardy and his whole deal that he has going on. So fun opener and a good way to get the show off on the right foot. Show proper opened up with Miro taking on Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston right now is, I'd say he's probably in your top 5 most over baby faces in the entire company. Crowd really wanted Kingston to get the win here. In the end, he does not. Miro continues his dominance there, still undefeated in AEW, and does so pretty decisively. I will say this was a pretty good match. There was one moment where it looked like Eddie Kingston was going to get the win, but that was pretty much it. Other than that, I thought Miro came across looking really, really strong, and like the badass that he should. It's going to be interesting to see where they go with Miro, but I like that he's kind of doing his own thing and kind of holding up, so to speak, the TNT title division, if you will, and that reign over there. They've done really well with him. Next up, before I get to Satoshi Kojima against Jon Moxley, if you have not seen the deal where Jon Moxley showed up in GCW yesterday and ends up defeating Matt Cardona for their title, go out of your way to check that out. I thought it was awesome and really, really good stuff. And he actually showed up in this match wearing a GCW kind of jersey there, and they've done a lot. AEW has done a lot, not only to propel Impact up a bit, but also really to do some stuff with Game Changer Wrestling. But now having Jon Moxley as the Game Changer Wrestling World Champion and eventually One would assume will be defending that title at least once or twice. That's a pretty darn big deal there, and really cool to see that AEW is not afraid to let their talent go out and do other things other than being a part of AEW. Much like this match here, obviously a little bit of working agreement with New Japan, and the biggest story of this match, obviously, is that Minoru Suzuki shows up at the end of this match. The crowd went absolutely ballistic. Everyone's singing along to his theme song. He comes out, and he and Moxley have this just absolute thrashing. Match itself was good, and Kojima looked great, but I think that the idea that now you have Minoru Suzuki, and that match is taking place in Moxley's hometown this week in Cincinnati for AEW Dynamite. They set the week up so strong coming out of this show, which we'll get to in a little bit. So really interesting stuff. I thought it was a good match. It's interesting that Moxley's kind of existing kind of in his own island right now. Doesn't necessarily need to be a part of the world title picture. It doesn't seem like there's a place for him there. So why not? Let's have some great matches and continue that forbidden door being burst wide open there with Minoru Suzuki showing up there towards the end of the night. And it was interesting to see some of the folks, even in WWE, I think it was Shinsuke Nakamura, Kushida, had both kind of paid homage to both Kojima and Minoru Suzuki and talked about how excited they were to kind of do it without just outwardly saying how happy they were. Hey, they're not going to obviously not hit hashtag AEW All Out, but it's obvious they were paying attention, and they showed a little bit of love to their fellow wrestlers, obviously from Japan. So that was cool. Moving right along here, underrated match of the evening. This is a great one. I love this match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on Chris Statlander. I thought they were awesome. They did a really good job. Chris Statlander looked awesome in the match. She ends up losing. Obviously, Britt Baker is the star of the division right now, but Chris Statlander was undefeated coming in, and it took Britt Baker a number of moves that were hitting the Pittsburgh Sunrise there. A little bit of foreshadowing for what we could expect later on in the night with the debut in AEW of her husband, Adam Cole. So I thought that was kind of cool, and thought it was a really, really strong match. I thought both women looked great. I think Chris Statlander has a lot to offer in the division, and I like that it took several big moves. She had a stomp, she had the Sunrise, and I thought this was really good. And eventually, Britt Baker gets the win there. She's obviously the star of the division right now, but hey, good to see a strong showing from Chris Statlander. At this point, this was my match of the evening. I thought these ladies absolutely killed it. Unfortunately for them, the match of the evening distinction went to them for exactly one match, because the very next match was the Young Bucks against the Lucha Brothers, and oh my God, this match is probably the match of the year. Definitely, in my opinion, the match of the night in terms of in-ring action. Not storytelling, because I will say it was a great story in this match, but I loved some of the stories that were coming up later on that night. So it was really, really great stuff that was still to come in the event. But with that said, this match, pillar to post, unbelievable. Such insane action from start to finish. Even the entrances. Entrances were great. Lucha Brothers came out with, they had a live act with them that I thought was awesome. I thought they did a really good job. They had all the Mexican heritage wear there for their attire, and as they were coming down to the ring, it reminded me a little bit of the WrestleMania 22 entrance gear that Rey Mysterio had. I thought it was really nice stuff. They came across as total stars, and eventually did get the win with brand new tag team champions over the Young Bucks. Felt like Young Bucks have had those titles for a really long time, and it was time for a bit of a change, and time to see the Elite brought down a peg. A lot of what the Elite are doing, interfering in all these matches, having all these guys interfere, it's good that the cage actually did keep these guys out of it. This was a huge cage, massive, one of the bigger cages, and it was nice. It was interesting because they had the cage go all the way down to the bottom of the floor, so there was a little bit of space between the ring and the cage, so they could do some stuff on the outside. So I liked it. I thought it was really, really good stuff, and great match of the night. I mean, there's so many different spots here. I can't even get into all of them. The Pentagon and Phoenix were both busted wide open, masks destroyed, blood everywhere. There's a moment at the end of the match where Pentagon calls his family down. He's kissing his daughters, and he's got blood on their cheeks and everything. But you could tell this meant a lot to them. They come across as major stars there, and you'd like to see them get the big win here. Young Bucks still, hey, when was the last time they had a big match that didn't deliver? I mean, these guys are great. This was awesome. Check it out if you have not gotten an opportunity to. From here, kind of a tough come-down spot here from the Casino Battle Royale for the women of AEW. I will say, though, I'm a huge Battle Royale fan. So for me, I always get excited about Battle Royals. I like the Casino Battle Royale, the idea that you have 5 women coming into the ring, or 4, I think it's, 5 women coming into the ring, each suit, or men when they compete in the match. And then obviously the Joker being somebody different each time. I like that. I think it's something that's new. I think it's something that is a fresh idea that they do. And I've always been a fan of Battle Royals. I don't think I've ever not enjoyed one. So I really dug this. I thought it was a lot of fun. At the end, the big surprise there was the Joker, who I mentioned was Ruby Soho. Crowd went insane for Ruby Soho. Hey, I give her so much credit, and I give the crowd a lot of credit because she was not presented in WWE as someone who was really all that credible, if you could think about it. But she had a cool faction with the Riot Squad as Ruby Riot, but she was never really prominently featured, never really in women's title matches. But the crowd still, through all that, still maintained a love for her. They were ready for her. They were chanting for her even before the countdown started. And when she came out, the place just went absolutely ape for her. I mean, they were so excited, jumping up and down, screaming her name, and it was really a hero's welcome. I think she looked a little overwhelmed by it, and it was great to see. At the end of the day, I personally would have still liked to see Thunder Rosa get the win there. I think that getting the rematch between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker is something I'd really like to see, and I hope we do get that down the road. But it was Ruby Soho's night. No complaints whatsoever. The match between her and Britt should be awesome. And it's great to see the women's division into AEW continuing to get some great pieces and additions to that division. And, I think Riho, Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose, all of them got some really great reactions from the crowd. People were into them. And it was a really fun match. I have no complaints about it whatsoever. This led to Chris Jericho against MJF. For me, this has been the best rivalry in AEW's brief history thus far. Maybe with AEW, maybe give him MJF and Cody that whole deal as well. I thought that, I think those are kind of neck and neck in terms of the stories. But this has been great. If Chris Jericho were to lose this match, he would have been obviously retired and from AEW, never wrestled for AEW again. So the way that it started out actually was with the old school Jericho countdown clock. They played that familiar beat. I don't know if they got it from WWE or if it was just kind of a stock sound that they were able to play, but had the old countdown come, and then eventually the countdown clock turns over and MJF reveals that it's himself and says Jericho's career is going to be over. This is his last match, and got a ton of heel heat from the crowd, obviously. So they were really into it, and they then started this out with Jericho coming out with the guitar player Afazi, who well overpowered the crowd's version of singing Judas. I don't know if that worked so well, but I love this match. Jericho still competes at such a high level. I mean, the guy really hasn't lost a step, and it's unbelievable to think about when you consider the guy's, I think, 50 at this point, but he's still out there having top-tier matches. I think this was MJF's best match in AEW and best match I've seen of MJF. He continues to improve each day in the ring. If you consider the fact that he's still so young and he's such a top promo, you forget the fact that he's still relatively new to the actual wrestling business. So I think this was his best match. I love the story this told. Eventually, MJF did get the win, but Jericho's foot was on the rope, which Aubrey Edwards did not see at that point. So she calls for the bell, holds up MJF's hand, and then another official who had came down because there was a brawl between Wardlow and Jake Hager, so they came down to kind of separate that, and then he saw Jericho's foot was on the rope, so he informed Aubrey Edwards. They restarted the match, and away we go. Jericho does get the win. Career stays intact. I knew this was kind of the direction they were going to go once this didn't close the show. You'd figure if Jericho was going to be if this was the end of Chris Jericho, this would be the final match of the evening, and there was not to be. Granted, I know Ric Flair retired in the middle of WrestleMania 24, and that wasn't the main event, but I didn't think that they'd do that if Jericho's career was over. So I did think he'd get the win. He ends up getting the win. Really good story. This continues to be one of my favorite stories in all of AEW, between the entire Inner Circle and MJF's group, and I like it a lot. So hopefully this continues from there, and it'll be interesting to see. And Jericho still has so many great matches. I'd love to see him tangle up with Daniel Bryan. Love to see him in there with Adam Cole. Love to see him in there with CM Punk again. So much Jericho that we still need to see matches from. So I have no problem, and I'm glad that he got the win here and remains a part of AEW moving forward. Next match of the evening was obviously a match that folks were looking really forward to. This was a match I know my wife. She usually will hang out. She's into the show, but I'd say a casual diehard fan, if that makes sense. She follows along with pay-per-views at this point, and will usually check in from time to time. But she was very much into CM Punk and Darby Allin. She was excited about that. She was into it, and as was I. This was a match that I think a lot of people were excited about. CM Punk's first match in 7 years, and I think it didn't disappoint. I think this was another really strong story that was told between CM Punk and Darby Allin. I think that, CM Punk looked great. He looked in amazing shape. Probably better shape, honestly, than he did when he wrestled when he fought for UFC, if that makes sense. I think that he and Darby tore it up, and CM Punk gets the win, and as he should. I know a lot of people, Darby should have got the win. That's nonsense. CM Punk's first match back in Chicago. He needed to get the win. But what I liked in this is you started to see a little bit of the heel tendencies from Punk. Darby goes up for move off the top. Punk sits up and immediately is like, who's smart for it? Kind of that CM Punk heel. And he's a great babyface, but CM Punk's an amazing heel too. I have no problem with Punk kind of teasing to that heel character that he's had there, because he's had some great moments as a heel. I don't think you could really go wrong. So I thought this was a lot of fun and really, really strong stuff. I think that, you can make a case that this was some of the moments of the night. Probably not match of the night. I think match of the night you got to give it to the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks. But this was strong stuff out of Punk. Great to see him back in there, and I thought this was a good match. And, it's funny. There's someone on Twitter, I wish I could give them credit. I completely forgot to put it up. But there's a little part in that match where CM Punk pays homage. Punk and Darby pay homage to the 1-2-3 Kid Bret Hart match from Raw 94. Where CM Punk basically does the same face that Bret Hart does when 1-2-3 Kid kind of whips Bret, kind of gives him an Irish whip. And in this match, Darby did the same thing, and CM Punk had the same face that Bret Hart had after that. So really, really good stuff all around. I love stuff like that. Punk's such a fan deep down, and you can tell he is happy to be there. He's excited. At the end of the night, he retweeted his old tweet from 2013 where he said, "This poop isn't fun anymore," and now said, "This shit is now fun again," which you can tell he's having a great time. Little tease at the end. Sting comes in, goes for a handshake from Punk. Punk does shake his hand. Part of me thought, man, the Stinger is getting hit with that GTS. And if he did, hey, I'd be all for it. You ain't gonna hear me complain, but I thought it was really good stuff. Moving right along here, you had your come down match. Paul White going up against QT Marshall. For me, he'll always be the big show. This is your fun. Legend comes in there, gets the win, waves to the crowd. You move on. It was simple. This was not a lot of folks online. I can't believe they co-main evented. They didn't co-main event. The match was in there to bring the crowd down for the title match. The crowd was obviously going to be amped up here. You just had Jericho MJF, big emotional match there, and probably the most emotional match for me of the evening. Then you have the big CM Punk return. He gets there. Obviously, everyone's really excited. You want them to relax a little before the main event. No big deal. They've done this a million times. You remember, Big Show, Edge, and John Cena went on after that after that amazing Shawn Michaels Undertaker match at WrestleMania 25, and they delivered. Here, it was nothing with nothing. It was fine. It was on the show. It was what it was. It's not going to be anything anyone's going to remember of the night, but it was harmless. Then they announced that on AEW Dynamite this week, it is going to be Malachi Black against Dustin Rhodes. It's also going to be Minoru Suzuki against Jon Moxley. So other than Moxley, 3 of those 4 guys weren't even on the show. And then on Rampage, oh, by the way, on Friday night, we're going to get our Pac versus Andrade match that was supposed to be on this show. Obviously, the roster right now is unbelievably stacked. Tons of people. But you have 2 shows you have to produce every single week now if you're AEW. You have these big pay-per-views. I don't think it's a big problem. You also have Dark. You have Dark Elevation. I like the fact that the roster is stacked. I like the idea that now I'm not, it's not like I'm burnt out by anybody who was on the show tonight, because on Wednesday I'm going to get guys that weren't necessarily on the show. On Friday I'm going to get guys that weren't necessarily on the show. So while I'm excited to tune in and see all this fresh new talent and see what they're doing in AEW, at the same time I'm also going to get a chance to see Malachi Black, who's one of my favorites, who wasn't even on the pay-per-view. I'm going to get to see Cody Rhodes' show debut soon. He's not even on the show right now. So I like this. I think that there's no problem with this stacked roster at all. No reason the talent needs to be on every single show every week. Once they do wrestle, it's a bigger ass deal, and I think it's actually great. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where they go from there. Main event time, Christian Cage against Kenny Omega. I think AEW did a really good job, and a big kudo to them by having this match on the first episode of Rampage, which we knew a lot of people were going to tune in for, and having Christian Cage beat Kenny Omega. Omega at the time felt completely unstoppable, and for him to lose that title, I think definitely added a little intrigue that, like, hey, can Christian do this again? Never in my mind was this match in doubt. I thought Kenny Omega was going to beat him. But there were a couple times where Christian hit a couple of moves, whether it be the kill switch. I thought the kill switch, he had a really close near fall that I definitely bought into. And there were a couple other things where I think you would have believed that he could have been able to beat Kenny Omega. Instead, Kenny Omega hits the Avalanche, One Winged Angel off the top, and this is a great one where he's getting Christian up for this move, and the entire crowd is rising with Kenny Omega. Awesome visual. Kenny hits it, end of the match, retains the title, and you knew at that point, all right, there was kind of a discussion online, who's it going to be? It's going to be Adam Cole, it's going to be Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson. I got to get back now to calling him Bryan Danielson. Eventually I'll just start calling him Amdrag again, but here we go. So you knew there was going to be this moment where it's like, probably someone's coming. I didn't necessarily know who it was going to be. You knew someone was coming because they were building it up too much. And having this match go on last instead of Punk and Darby, I think definitely kind of clued you in that something was going to happen. So Kenny Omega gets on the mic and he says something to the extent of, no one can beat me at this point. Whether, the only people who can beat me aren't here. Maybe he was acknowledging the champion Roman Reigns. That's what I'm sure some people thought. Or they're dead. And when he had said that, lights went out, place erupted. Because a lot of people knew this was Adam Cole. But I can't help but think there were some people, some lapsed fans who tuned into AEW for the first time who thought, oh my God, AEW signed The Undertaker. Right? There had to be some folks out there who heard dead, lights go out, and thought, good God, The Undertaker's back. AEW signed him away, and now here he comes. Not to be. Instead, it was Adam Cole, of course, which makes a lot of sense if you're a fan of the BTE series, the YouTube show that the Elite has done, the Young Bucks have done for many years, which they killed off Adam Cole. He comes back, he comes out, crowd erupts, one of the biggest Adam Cole bebes you've ever had in your life. They come out there, and the crowd was a little dead for a period of time. I mean, because you're getting so much on a show, and Chicago's got a ton of AEW recently. Realize that, for the last 3 weeks, Chicago's had 5 different AEW shows, and they've just gotten so many moments here. So, crowd was a little dead, but once he came out, I think the crowd really woke up. I think after Punk, they were a little tired, but once Adam Cole came out, they were ready, and they were amped up, and they were screaming and giving Adam Cole bebes, and they were awesome. Adam Cole gets on the mic, and he turns on and hits a big super kick on Jungle Boy, who was in the ring. He had came down to help out Christian Cage. He obviously joins the Elite, as he should join the Elite. Big, huge hugs with the Young Bucks. Kisses on the cheek for him from the Young Bucks. And it's like, hell yeah. This makes a lot of sense. He is best friends with them. Kenny Omega even says, you think I was nervous about him? He's one of our best friends in the world. So he joins the Elite. Looks like they're going to have the last laugh. He gets on the mic. He says, good night. I'll see you later. And then boom. You hit that flight song from Daniel Bryan's old WWE theme, and out comes Daniel Bryan, Flight of the Valkyries, and brand new song here for him. Bryan Danielson comes out, crowd goes absolutely insane, and I was going insane. I mean, this was pop after pop after pop. This was Crash TV at its finest. Fantasy booking come to life, whatever you want to call it. It was amazing. It was incredible. And he looked great, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Gets on there, clears house, Kenny Omega runs out of Dodge, and now every single dream match you could think of here. So many possibilities, and this is going to be a lot of fun. For one, I have tickets coming up here in a couple weeks to AEW Grand Slam right here in Queens. I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I am like, let's go. And it's going to be awesome. I mean, you just think about now the company had already a stacked roster. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the Lucha Bros, Chris Jericho, MJF, Thunder Rosa, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, so much talent. And there's just in the last month, they brought in Malachi Buck. They brought in CM Punk. Tonight they bring in Ruby Soho, Minoru Suzuki. Who knows how long he'll be there for. The Forbidden Door just smashed wide open. You're getting Adam Cole. You're getting Bryan Danielson. I mean, I'm losing it. I'm pretty sure most of the wrestling world is losing it. One of the most fun nights to be a fan. If you are not watching AEW at this point, I don't care if you're a WWE fan. I'm wearing a Roman Reigns shirt. I'm a huge WWE fan, right? I'm going to SmackDown next week, and I can't freaking wait. But if you have not embraced AEW at this point, I don't know what you're doing. Only the biggest of haters at this point got to be complaining. I mean, you're getting the best wrestlers in the entire world. All of your favorites from WWE are all there in AEW, being promoted and being kind of given that spotlight to do what they do. These folks you all wanted this opportunity to be a part of something bigger are now getting that opportunity. So give it a chance. I mean, it's a fun-ass time to be a fan. I'm obviously fired up. It's almost 2 a.m. I'm losing my voice. It's been a fun night. I can't imagine what it was like to be there. It's the one show I missed. I was planning on going too, but at the end of the day, you can only go to so many things. Anyway, I hope anyone who did go had a great time. If you watched it at home like me, I hope you got your money's worth. I don't know what else you'd want for $50 to get that money's worth, but great night to be a fan. So excited to see where it goes from here. What a fun time to be a fan of AEW, to be a fan of wrestling. So much fun stuff all the way around. Something for everyone. A great night, an awesome show. I will see you in the next video.